concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, you guys? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming here. It's good to be here with you. Well, it's Sunday afternoon for me, but it's evening for you beautiful folks in Europe and elsewhere in the world. And that's why I do the stream at this time. Oh, should I buy the Diatone Roma F5 as my second drone, asks MKFPV. That's a very good question, MKFPV. I'm going to answer it because that's what we do here. On these streams, it's a Q&A stream. Some live streamers play video games or do other activities, and then every so often they take a question from the chat. But all I do is take questions from the chat because I figured, that's what you guys really want from a live stream, isn't it? And also, I don't have any other talents. So, welcome to the stream. Let me just get you caught up. This is my main screen. This is the master console that I use to navigate this crazy, crazy live streaming world. Right here. Right here. These are your chats. I'm going to be taking your chats. If this is your first, if you've been here, if you know the deal, then you know the deal. Just sit tight. I'll get through it. But if it's your first time here, I'll be taking your chats here. I'll be paying attention to these beautiful people up here in the Discord server. This is my Discord server, and these people are my patrons. If you want to come hang out with them, help! Hello, patrons. You can join my Patreon. Link in the video description. $2 a month or more. Don't limit yourself. It's up to you. However much you feel like I've earned. And then, I did pay attention to you for a little while. And also, in case you didn't know, if you want to make sure I get your question, hit the $ right down here, hit that $, leave a super chat, and I will get to it like a half hour from now, if history's any guide, but there you go. Is the Diatone Roma F5 a good... Let's pull up a view of that. Let's just get some graphics on screen. I need a producer to pull up graphic. You know, like Joe Rogan has Jamie. He's like, Jamie, get a picture of that. I need a Jamie. I need a Jamie. Who wants to be my Jamie? Can't come over to my house, but maybe you could do it remotely. Diatone Roma F5. We'll just go to diatone.us. No. Yeah, diatone.us is the... Oh, here, we'll go to Get FPV. I always get confused because diatoneusa.com is not actually Diatone's official corporate site, and they're just a reseller, and I don't like to promote them because people say there's customer service issues with them, so I don't try not to show them on stream. But diatone.us is their actual site. This is the Diatone F5. We're currently looking at the DJI version. It does come in an analog version as well. And I just got done with my setup video of this, and I'm just finished recording my review, but it hasn't been edited and gone out yet. In fact, my editor, his motherboard on his computer died, and he's like a couple days behind on editing. I will say the short review of the Diatone F5 is, I am incredibly impressed with it. I don't want to spoil the review, so you guys definitely go watch the whole review. It comes in at a price of about, I think it's about $180 for the analog version, and if you compare that to my current sort of go-to for a $200 bind and fly is the iFlight Sedora SL5E or the iFlight Nazgul V2. They're basically the same quad. They come in around $200 as well, and I've been really impressed with them. The Diatone is higher spec and more premium in every way. For example, these Toka motors. The iFlight makes a good motor, and the iFlight Zing E is a very good budget motor. But the iFlight Zing E it feels like a budget motor. There's nothing wrong with that. It is a budget motor. The Toka feels like such a premium motor in how it's machined. It even seems like it might have a single piece bell, although I can never quite be sure if it's a single piece bell or if it's a two-piece bell and they've just hidden the seam. But so the motors are super premium feeling. It's a F7 flight controller with Bluetooth built in. It's got the Phoenix. The analog version has the Phoenix camera, which the iFlight has the Ratel, which both are good cameras, but obviously I prefer the Phoenix. So the only place where the Diatone F5 falls down is on the analog version. The video transmitter only goes to 400 milliwatts. I'm totally spoiling the whole review. I hope you guys will still watch the review. I mean, what do you tune in for the live stream for, though? Yeah, so the iFlight Nazgul and Sedora SL5E have an 800, I think it's 800 milliwatt video transmitter. And the difference between 400, if the Diatone had a 200 milliwatt video transmitter, I'd be like, that's no good for freestyle. That's okay for racing, but just doesn't have enough range for freestyle. 400 milliwatts is just barely enough that I'm like, okay, you get a pass because everything else is so good. If the Diatone F5 had like an 800 milliwatt video transmitter, I would just be like, okay, hands down, it's the winner. But we got to acknowledge that the iFlight Sedora does beat it. The Diatone is lighter. It's about 30 grams lighter, I think, on my scale, maybe 40 grams. It's in the review. And the other thing is, a couple people have reported to me that their Diatone... No, wrong window. Sorry. Hang on. Can we go? There we go. A couple people have reported to me, because they heard that I was reviewing it. They've said that theirs has broken, like, right here where the arm enters the body. And it's hard to know if that's a design defect or if that's... something, it's going to break somewhere, right? On these little thin-armed frames, A lot of times the manufacturer will design the arm to break because you'd rather have to change an arm than have to change a main plate. And if the arm breaks right here, they've got the wiring for the motors wrapped around the standoff and come from this side. So when it breaks, it kind of pulls on the standoff, but it doesn't really rip the wires out of the... So the idea is, I guess, that it will break and you'll replace the arm and you'll be okay. But like I had a frame. It was the Newbie Drone Vivid, I believe. I should get this right. I should get that right. I'm pretty sure it was the Newbie Drone Vivid, but since I'm going to badmouth it, I should make sure I get that right. I believe it was the Newbie Drone Vivid. And yes, this is the frame I'm talking about. This frame, I flew it, and in a very mild crash, I broke the arm in that exact same place twice. And I went back to Newbie Drone, and I was like, you got to do something about this. Like, the first time it happened, I thought it might be a fluke. The second time it happened, I was like, no, forget it. And I know everybody says, it was such a mild crash and the arm broke. And like, if it hadn't happened to me, I might be like, well, how mild a crash was it? But it was super mild. So I guess a tiny heads up about the Diatone Roma that perhaps the arms are a little more prone to breaking. I have to say, I have broken the arm in that same place on the iFlight Sedora, but like I said, something's going to break if you crash hard enough. I didn't think that the Sedora frame was weak. When it broke, I was like, yeah, okay, I could kind of see that. So I haven't flown the Diatone enough to be able to say whether I think it's weak or not. But overall, very, very good job, Diatone. Very good job. If you have the Diatone F5, then let me know in the comments what you think about its durability. Because on paper, the specs are amazing. The price is amazing. Diatone seems to be trying to position themselves as this company who provides amazing quality at shockingly low prices. And I kind of don't know how they're doing it, but I love it. Ton in the Discord says the T-Motor FT5 looks nice as well. The T-Motor FT5, it does look nice. I'll tell you why I'm hesitant to lean too hard into the T-Motor FT5. Well, this is just the frame, not the bind and fly, but it's this removable top piece here. And I'm just so skeptical about the durability of the top plate. I just am, and I would love to hear from people who are flying it if that's been a problem for them. The fact that they've got this removable piece that's only held in by 2 screws makes me somewhat skeptical of its durability. But, I mean, where's the T-Motor FT5? Bind and fly. Here's the bind and fly. That's with Caddx Vista. Is there an analog version for a price comparison? $429, $429, $239. So here's the T-Motor FT5. Is this going to be the... Yeah, this is the analog version. So let's just think about this. So it's got T-Motor... Are these Pacer or Velox motors? I can't quite... Are those the Pacers? Pacers, yeah. Pacer motors. F4 flight controller. Caddx Ratel. Rush Tank is a very good VTX. The iFlight Force is a very good VTX as well. So, like, if you look at this, tell me why you would buy a $240 T-Motor FT5 over, like, a Nazgul V2. Let's go to get FPV for the same one. $200. So it's $40 cheaper. That's a big jump. And the thing is, you might say, well, the T-Motor makes good motors. iFlight makes good motors. The motors, the Zingy motors don't look as flashy, but I mean, you beat the hell out of them. They last, they perform. I've been very happy with them. Same camera, Caddx Ratel, F4 flight controller. Is that right? I believe so. Have they changed it to an F7? I don't think so. F4 flight controller. Yeah. I mean, the T-Motor is not bad, but I feel like I'm not sure why you would buy that for $40 more compared to the Nazgul V2. SAC14 Save says the battery strap breaks that plate in a crash. Yeah, that's just one report, but the weak point is the arms at the motors. So if you're gonna break an arm near the frame, near the center, near the chassis, not near the motor. Because when you break the arm at the motor, it's much more likely to rip the wires out of the bell. But if you break the arm near the main chassis body, then yeah. So I mean, I just don't see the pricing making sense. I don't see how the T-Motor FT5 offers $40 more in value. Spec-wise, it is very similar to the Nazgul V2. 800 milliwatt video transmitter, F4 processor, 2207 motors, Caddx Ratel. It's the same camera. The Nazgul V2 comes at $200. Okay, so you could argue that Pacer motors are better, but they're not $40 better. But the Diatone's coming in at that same price with an F7 flight controller, but only a 400 milliwatt video transmitter. I don't know. All right. Anyway, thank you for that topic. We spent 15 minutes on that topic. I think it's a good topic, but I think we're going to move on now. Arms are always cheaper than motors. That's right, 661 FPV. I mean, you could decide to go with a heavier frame. If you go up from the, let's say, 120 gram frame to more like 140 or 145 gram frame, you can get thicker arms. You could get just thicker arms with like 5mm or 6mm carbon, or you can get wider arms, and you'll get more durability out of the arms. It's true, but then you'll get more weight. So you got to make a decision about that. Kebab FPV's approach is he runs FPV Cycle. If you didn't know that, his approach is to let the arm break in order to save weight. Does the Andreas Dalsa in the Discord wants to know, does the Roma F5 with DJI, is it an F4? Oh my God, is that, why would they stop that, manufacturers? Keep your hardware consistent. Let's check that. With the DJI version of the Roma F5. Where's the DJI version? I'm going to be so disappointed if they've done that. They did that with the, what was the quad they did that with? I reviewed another one. I think it was it the Flywoo Explorer? Where they put the F4 in the analog version? Super annoying. Here's the DJI version, and damn it. That's so annoying. Well, that's so annoying. I mean, I guess who cares? I mean, that's so annoying. It just, like, it's all set up. You've got all the UARTs you need. That's so annoying. That's such a good flight controller in the analog version. They must not have a DJI version of the F7. That's my guess. Like, this is also a good flight controller, but it doesn't have the Bluetooth built in. And it just makes the comparison more annoying. Oh well, I'll have to add that to the review. Thank you for pointing that out. Welcome back, Cheetah FPV. Yeah, GOD in the Discord says they're trying to bring the price down. That's why. I mean, I guess, but like the difference between an F4 and an F7 at retail could be as little as $10 or $15. And Diatone always goes for value. So, like, my guess is they just don't have... Does Diatone have an F7 DJI? I mean, kind of weird. Anyway. Who uses Bluetooth on a flight controller, 661 FPV? A lot of people. It's so... Now, look, if you have to add a Bluetooth module, that's annoying. And I don't do it on most of my quads. But if it's built into the flight controller, then sure. Just whip out your phone at the field and change your PIDs or something, right? As opposed to having to plug a USB in. It's super nice. Yeah, it's super nice. Anyway. Let me get some super chats out of the way here. Thank you, Abraham, for a $5 donation. Is there a website or online resource where I can find a list of parts and FPV-related things you personally would recommend? Shut up, Aber. Thank you, Aber. Golly, so funny that you asked that, Abraham. Thank you for that $5 donation. I guess I have no choice but to show you my website, fpvknowitall.com, home of the ultimate FPV shopping list, which is all my product recommendations. Some people are saying the stream is lagging. I am not showing any dropped frames or anything. From my end, it looks perfect. YouTube says the stream is good. Boom, see, excellent connection. And you probably can't read this, but drop frame 0, missed frame 0. So everything looks golden. And no, OneDrive is not running. So just reload your stream. Don't know what happened. The stream shut off and made you watch ads, UFO Pilot? Oh, interesting. Why would they be? Oh, hang on. Are they trying to show ads in the middle of my stream? I don't know about that. I had to remake this stream from scratch. Normally I just copy the old stream. And so I may have the settings a little different on this one. But I think monetization is always on. I don't know why they would. Do they ever? I've never seen a stream get interrupted to show an ad. Weird. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Oh, yeah. How about that? Oh, no. Hang on. Go. Come on. Yeah, look. Apparently something happened. Do you see? See, look. Big drop off in viewers. Weird. Well, hopefully they'll come back. Sorry, I don't know what happened. YouTube, get your shit sorted out. Thank you, Brody Funk, for a $5 super chat. I'm trying to solder my ESC. Is there a temperature that's too hot for it? No, not really. In general, I mean, yes, if it was at 1200 degrees, but your soldering iron won't go that hot. You can run your soldering iron as hot as you want. And in fact, for soldering large pads, I turn my soldering iron up to max, which for me is 850 Fahrenheit. Do the math, whatever that is. I think it's 450 Celsius. I'm not sure. The thing is, if you are skilled with a soldering iron, you can safely run hotter. If you are unskilled with a soldering iron, then if you run too hot, you'll just be touching the pad for too long. You'll overheat it and you'll damage it. Okay? If you're skilled with a soldering iron, having it be hot, you'll be quick. You'll be in, hot, solder, out, and you won't hurt anything, and you'll be able to work faster. There's a sweet spot, though. If the soldering iron is too cold, then it will take you forever to heat the pad up, and you'll overheat things and damage things. So if you're skilled, you can run as hot as you want. And for those bigger pads on an ESC, running hotter is usually good. For flight controller pads, for the little pads on a flight controller, I'll typically run 750 Fahrenheit. Again, apologies to those in the rest of the world who use Celsius, but that's just what my soldering... I should just switch my soldering iron over to Celsius, but I just don't know the numbers off the top of my head. For ESC and motor pads and big XT60 pads, I'll typically crank it to max, which is 850 Fahrenheit. When will I review TBS Tracer? Plago Live wants to know. Yes, I finally got it. TBS Tracer. And actually, I just finished installing the Tracer receiver in my Diatone F5. So I will be working on that review this week, probably. It will probably not be coming out this week, so it'll probably be next week. If you ever do want to know what my schedule is looking like, go to my website, fpvknowitall.com. There's a link to the editorial calendar here at the top. This editorial calendar reflects my current intention for video release. It is not a promise that I will release a video on a given day. In fact, quite often, quite often, the day that a video is supposed to come out, I'm like, there's been some delay, and I shuffle it. So I apologize. The ideal state would be that you would know that on this day, this video will come out. It's not quite that, but you could definitely take a look at what I'm working on and what I plan to have coming out soon. Tracer is not currently on that, but I will be adding it. And it's probably going to be in the week of, probably going to be in the week of the 18th. So, definitely check that out. Chrysostomos Stivaktas, thank you for $5 Australian. I'm trying to find out what's the difference between the iFlight SL5E and the Nazgul 5. Chrysostomos, I'm 99% sure. I looked into this, and I think what I remember is the electronics are the same, but the frame has a different geometry. I think one of them is like a true X geometry, and one of them is like an H geometry. Bannister Post in the Discord wants to know, what do I think about the announcement that they will allow betting on drone racing now? That's right. Did you guys hear about this? Hello? Let's go. Let's go. DraftKings will now allow betting on drone racing in some states. You will now be able to bet on DRL racing. If you like to bet, you can now bet through DraftKings on DRL racing. That's cool. I mean, like, I probably am not going to gamble. Maybe, like, just like me and Drew would place a bet or something just as kind of a laugh. I don't really get a thrill out of gambling. I prefer to just hold money and look at it. That's how I get my kicks, just to lay on a big mattress full of cash and go, oh, I have it all. And then, I also like spending money. But gambling to me doesn't feel like, that just doesn't tick the dopamine receptors in my brain. But I do think that it's cool to see drone racing achieving more mainstream validation and being able to gamble on it. I mean, that gets it one step closer to being treated in many people's mind like a real sport. So, as long as you're not, as long as you're gambling responsibly, more power to you. More power to you. Wrong way FPV, I do agree. DRL having to go to virtual sim racing is a real shame. The whole appeal of DRL is that they're racing in real life in big stadiums. I understand, like, I'm glad that they're doing anything and they're not just calling off the season and saying, well, I guess we're done. But I agree. Like, it'd be like if instead of watching football games, you watched your favorite football players play Madden. Like, that would probably be cool, but it's not football, So, anyway. We should make sure that gets into the news. I don't know if you guys know that me and It's Blunty do the news at 6 p.m. on Tuesdays. We put that in the news. That's definitely news. Kermit 198007, thank you for 20 Norwegian kroner. Still working our way through the super chats. Air unit without antennas after a crash. Kermit, the air unit is fine. The DJI air units are incredibly resilient. They do not get damaged if you run them without antennas. They detect that condition and they do what they need to do to prevent themselves from being damaged. As long as the antennas didn't break off inside the air unit and you can still plug an antenna back in, you're fine. Chris Cameo, thank you for $5 super chat. Looking forward to the Tracer review and love the idea of the latency A/B test. Yeah, so here's what he's referring to about the latency A/B test. I made a post. Actually, I messaged Trappy about this. I'll show you the message. Hold on. Dominic Rund, what do you think about the new and changed FAA laws? I put a video up on my channel going into that, Dominic. Short version is, I'm glad they're not as bad as they could have been. I still wish they were better, but I'm glad they're not as bad as they could have been. That's the short version. So I messaged Trappy and I said, add a function in Tracer to simulate the latency of other protocols so people could A/B the feel. In other words, if Tracer has a latency of 4 milliseconds or 3 milliseconds or whatever it is, make Tracer able to change its own latency so that you could say, what does 250 hertz feel like? What does 160 hertz feel like, etc. I guess Ghost can do something similar to this, as Alex Kubrick points out. And other people are pointing out that Express LRS can do it as well. I guess what I was thinking was not just changing the packet rate, but literally just adding a small amount of latency in the processor. Just be like, just hang on a second. Because right now, you could try Ghost at 220. I guess Ghost is the closest you can get to that. Hey, that's going to be the motivation that finally gets him to do it. What? Ghost can do it and we can't? Ghost can do 222 hertz, 160, 55, and 15 hertz. I guess you could see if you could feel the difference. Tracer is locked at 250, and that's it. Will Tracer replace your Crossfire setup? Asks Len H. Len, I don't think Tracer will replace my Crossfire setup. Oh, hang on. What are you doing, Bardwell? 1, 2 clicks. There we go. Looks a little better, I think. Looked a little dark. Okay. I don't think Tracer is going to replace my Crossfire setup, at least in part because I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. Let's say I have right now 20 working quads. And probably 12 or 15 of those are on Crossfire. I mean, it's hard to imagine Tracer being so compelling that I would just switch everything out. The other thing is that the range on Tracer, at least as of today, is not as high as the range on Crossfire. Even some people say even in 160 hertz mode. And I do like that, you know, not having to think about fail-safing. As Brian Kasuka says, Steel uses it on all his quads. If it's got enough range for Mr. Steel, surely it has enough range for you. But hang on. Right now, Tracer is at 100 milliwatts. I think somebody told me that TBS has said we're not going to leave it at 100 milliwatts forever. We definitely will be increasing the output power. And they've done that with Crossfire before, so presumably they're going to do it with Tracer. And I heard they said on their live stream that they would be shooting for 1 watt. If Tracer goes to 1 watt, at that point I start to think that it could be a compelling replacement for Crossfire for a typical person. The reports that I'm hearing, and I have not flown Tracer yet. I only just got it this week, and I've only just installed it in a quad. So take this with a grain of salt. But the reports that I'm hearing from some people are that the range on Tracer is, yeah, it's okay. But sometimes I have to turn around because some people have reported it can't reliably outrun their video all the time. And 661 FPV says Tracer is not for range at all. Yeah, that's the argument, is that Tracer is for low latency at the expense of range, which it delivers. So fine. Playgo Live, I have recorded a Tracer setup guide. It is being edited. But still, like I said, my editor's computer died, so but the thing is, if Tracer goes up to 1 watt, then I would think it would be the best of both worlds for many pilots, because at 1 watt I would expect Tracer to have enough range that it would outrun most people's video and have those awesome 250 hertz smooth traces and low latency. Yeah, Gel Captain says I can outrun my video easily with Tracer. Some people say that. But the thing is, with Crossfire, nobody says that they fail safe before they outrun their video. That's the thing. With Crossfire, you just are never going to fail safe before you outrun your video. It's just not going to happen unless your equipment's broken. Auntie points out that Express LRS is faster than Tracer and does 10 kilometers. I mean, there's a lot to be said for Crossfire's ease of use, though. Crossfire is so convenient to use. There's a real world, implications there. Michael Teixeira, thank you for €5. I want to be an FPV filmmaker. I will wait for DJI V2, but what's a better packet to buy in the EU to start? I want a good quality drone. I mean, the thing is, Mikhail, I would say anybody wanting to get into FPV, the first thing to do is to buy a controller. I have a controller roundup on my channel, best RC controller 2020. Hush, Joshua, hush. I have a roundup there. Best FPV RC controller, December 2020. Pick a controller, practice in the simulator until you start to get some confidence. And then once you get some confidence, pick a quad. And because you will have practiced in the sim, you could pick any quad that appeals to you, from a 5-inch to a 3-inch to a tiny whoop. A Cinewoop would be an obvious choice if you're thinking about being a filmmaker, but it doesn't really matter. That's what I would say to do. A good packet to start with. Like I said, the thing is, all of the ready-to-fly packets have like pretty mediocre controllers. If you seriously want to get into FPV for the long term, I think you should spend between $100 and $200 on a controller, which you will then keep forever potentially. Spend a couple $100, $100 to $200 on a controller, get a good controller and practice in the sim, and then just buy a quad separately. If you are not sure whether FPV is going to be for you, then spend $100 on a ready-to-fly kit like the Emax Tiny Hawk, like the Beta FPV Advance, and you're going to outgrow those goggles and that controller, but that's the price of not being sure whether you're going to be in it for the long term. Cheetah FPV says, I wouldn't get a Cinewoop as a first quad. It's boring as shit and you'll lose interest real quick. I mean, it depends on what you want out of it, Cheetah. Cinewoops are not the best for like fast flying or acro, but I do think there's a compelling argument that a 3-inch, well, 2.5-inch for most of them, but some of them are 3-inch, a 3-inch quad with prop guards is a fair first quad. As a beginner, you're not going to acro like crazy at the first anyway. Mikhail points out, thank you for another €5 super chat. I forgot to tell you I had a heli and a first micro drone from Spectrum, and I have an old DX6i. You can fly with the DX6i. You will run up against its limitations quickly, but if you flew a heli, you're going to have no trouble transitioning to a quad. So at that point, if you want to be a filmmaker, a Cinewoop is what a lot of filmmakers are flying. You could look at something like the iFlight ProTech 35. It's not going to be a super fun, rip-roaring, acro freestyle racing quad. But as a filmmaker, that's not what you want to do first and foremost. So, but it is fun to have. Why buy just one quad? Grace and Cass, thank you for $5. Still trying to get caught up on these super chats, folks. Nazgul 5, good beginner drone. Yes, 1000%. QX7 or TX16S. I would hesitate to steer somebody towards FrSky today. If you are going to go FrSky, buy one of the new Access radios. If you get the QX7, get the QX7 Access. And then start by buying the Archer line of receivers. The FrSky Archer RS would be my recommendation. If you have a new FrSky radio with the Access protocol and the Archer RS, that is a very easy to get into system. All of the things that make me steer you away from FrSky don't apply. Except here's the problem. If you buy a tiny whoop, oops, it can't bind to that radio. Now things are complicated again. So I would steer you towards the TX16S. FrSky makes good radios. It's just all the BS they've done with their firmware, trying to lock out third-party hardware, is tricky. It's annoying. Crazy Canuck, USB-C does not power the DJI Air unit. You need to plug in a battery to power up the DJI Air unit. Nestor Zaharopoulos, thanks for a $2 super chat. Thank you for your ProTech 25 PSA. You're a lifesaver. Yeah, iFlight. Thank you, iFlight, for acknowledging the problem and getting a fix out quickly. Ren Smith. Yeah, if you have an iFlight ProTech 25, the ESC needs to be flashed to an older firmware or it can burn. Some people are fine, but some people are burning. Ren Smith, thanks for a $20 super chat. I'm very new to all of this, like so new I haven't started yet. Is there a beginner set that I can buy that is everything in one purchase? Goggles, remote, quad, etc., the whole 9 yards. Ren Smith, I would steer you 2 directions. One, for about $100, there are some starter kits. Everything in them is pretty, like, it's okay, but it's not great, but it's only $100. There's the Beta FPV beginner kit. There's an Emax Tiny Hawk RTF kit. There is a Newbie Drone RTF kit. And GepRC just created a new kit. Actually, they sent it to me. I have it for review. Any of these are okay. Some are better than others in some ways. For $100, you'll get a charger, battery, controller, goggles, etc. The other thing, and the thing is, some people who get into FPV are not going to stick with it. It's not going to appeal to you. It's going to be too difficult. You're just going to get bored and lose interest, etc. So if that might be you, then $100 is an okay thing to risk. On the flip side, if you feel confident that you're going to be in the hobby for the long term and or you have a much bigger budget, you could go with, like, the company that I think would be best to kit you out with everything you need would be Rotor Riot. Rotor Riot hand builds quads, and if you go and you contact customer service and you say, look, I'm just getting into the hobby, can you just put together everything I need, charge me a number, and send it to me? They have that level of service. It's not that other stores don't have good customer service. It's just that their customer service is not quite as personal, let's say. And Rotor Riot, I think they're a little bit smaller and they're a little more focused on a bespoke experience. That's how they differentiate. So you could, of course, also go to my website, fpvknowitall.com, which is designed to help people decide what to get. But if you want someone else to help decide for you, I would steer you to the Rotor Riot store, assuming you're in the United States. Not that Rotor Riot doesn't serve international customers, just that the shipping would be prohibitive. Ren Smith, yeah, Rotor Riot. Store.rotorriot.com. Marco Van Eken wants to know, any news on the DJI V2 goggles? No public statements have been made about that, Marco. We did have we had an item on the news with It's Blunty last Tuesday. Blunty said he was hearing from dealers that dealers were asked to place orders January 8th. Now, I don't know what that means in terms of when you will have goggles in your hand. Blunty said that dealers were asked to place orders January 8th. Yeah. Starjumper says, do you think it would be realistic for the remote ID module to have GPS built in? It has to have GPS built in, Starjumper. The remote ID module has to have GPS. Otherwise, how does it know where you... Pardon me. Excuse me. Okay. No handkerchief today. It has to have GPS. Otherwise, it can't report the location. So, yeah. It has to... It'll basically be some kind of a small module. Somebody told me that there is a similar regulation already in effect in France. And in France, the module is about the size of a video transmitter and has a GPS antenna built in. Albert Pons Espugla says, there won't be a DJI Goggles V2. It will be the same V1, but sold with a new drone. Albert, I would say the FCC filing clearly indicated DJI Goggle V2. That's public information. They filed an FCC. They wouldn't have done the FCC filing, and the FCC filing showed that the goggle takes up to 6S input. The current goggle takes only up to 17 volts. So, and the new goggle, the V2 goggle, had 2.4 gigahertz testing done in the FCC filing, whereas the current goggle does not have any 2.4 gigahertz emissions. So all of that is not consistent with your claim that it's the same V1 goggle. I think what you're noticing is that in the leaked photos, the goggle looks the same. It doesn't appear any different in form. But those things that I listed suggest that there are differences in function, and there you go. So I think you're wrong about that. I think there is public information that indicates that you're wrong. Sorry for, I don't know why, but I just got a little bit of a sniffy nose. So sorry, I don't have anything to blow my nose on. You're going to have to listen to me sniffle for the rest of the live stream. Game of Drones, I haven't gotten to your super chat yet. I'm just working my way through the super chats. Making my way downtown, reading super chats. And I'm homebound. Game of Drones. Thank you for $2. Remove the Aoye iron off my webpage and put the SH72. What is the SH72 soldering iron? I mean, I like the Aoye iron because it is a desktop iron. This, for example, is this a good iron? Maybe. Maybe it's a good iron. Oh, yeah, I recognize this. Sure, but a lot of people want a benchtop iron because the ergonomics are better. I also like, so if we go to my shopping list and we go to tools, soldering iron. The Aoye, I also like that we're supporting SRA Solder. SRA is a good company, and I have they've come on my channel and they've talked about soldering and done interviews, and they have good customer service. If you're in the United States and you want to have a little bit more of a personal connection with your store, SRA is a good place to go. Aoye, you can buy them all over the place, but I feel like this is a solid iron. $30. I mean, think about it. $30. It's a nice desktop iron with a holder. Like this, where is the, oh, I've lost it. Yeah. This SH72, like if I was going to be building on the bench, I wouldn't want a pencil iron like this. Because like, you're just going to be like, I'm soldering. Like having a nice big handle is good. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with that one. That could be a good one, and it could be good to add, but I wouldn't take the Aoye off. $30 for a nice, solid, temperature-controlled iron with this form factor. I think it's worth being there. Let's see here. Skadoosh says DJI V2 will have built-in remote ID and tracking, making V1 priceless. Skadoosh is usually on point, but I think, Skadoosh, that you're trolling here. Are you actually saying that? Or are you just trolling? I have argued in the past that I don't see how the goggle could have remote ID built in, especially given what we know now about what remote ID is going to require. Remote ID doesn't require you to have the module built into the drone. You can just install the module as a retrofit. So, yeah, he is joking. Okay. Skadoosh, the only reason I say that is because usually the things you say about pre-release and stuff are really on point. So I didn't want people to take you too seriously. I think I could tell you were being sarcastic. Mikhail, I got yours. Mike Bergman, thanks for a $20 super chat. What are your thoughts on Kenji Sugahara holding a patent for the remote ID module since 2017? I don't know what to think about that, Mike. At the end of the day, so one of the things that Kenji said was that he applied for the patent at the time that oh gosh, I don't want to get this wrong. I think what he said, I should be careful, because if I misspeak, then people are going to take it as a fact, and I don't want that. He applied for the patent in 2017. He was also on the ARC, which was the committee that helped define remote ID. Those two things are true. And what people are concerned about is that he had some kind of insider knowledge that allowed him to get some kind of preferential position now that he has the patent. People are required to use remote ID. He has a patent on an implementation of remote ID. So has he just managed to legislate that you have to give him money to use his patent? I think that that is a valid concern, but there are a lot of unknowns here. Like, for example, let's say that I'm on a government committee for remote ID. Well, I have an idea for how this might work, and I'm going to propose that it's a good idea, but I don't know that the government is going to actually take my suggestion. So it feels like what happened here, and I don't think he knew. He couldn't have known. It feels like what happened here is he had a good idea. He submitted that idea to the ARC, and he was like, hey, I should patent this. So that definitely, I mean, I could see that. Why would you patent it? Because you want to make money off it, obviously. So now we're in this weird situation where you have to, by law, implement this remote ID technology, and he has a patent on it. So is that a problem? Well, are seatbelts. Seatbelts in cars are mandatory. You must have seatbelts in cars. You must have airbags. You must have anti-lock brakes. These are all required safety technologies in the USA and the rest of the world, I assume. Well, are there patents on airbag deployment technology, seatbelt, anti-lock brakes? Are there patents on those things? I assume so. I assume that Ford has a patent on some way that they do anti-lock braking. GM has a patent on some way that they do anti-lock braking. Now, that's not a problem because there are different ways to solve that problem. So Ford's patent is not so broad, presumably. I mean, I'm talking out my ass here, but presumably nobody has such an exclusive patent that everyone in the world has to go to them. If they do, well, I guess that's just how things work. I mean, maybe you just invented something that's so good that everybody just has to come to you. So I don't think that it is actually as unusual as it seems for a mandated technology to have patents. So somebody holds a patent on it. I think at the end of the day, what Kenji does with that patent will determine the morality of him holding the patent. Sick says Volvo specifically did not patent the shoulder seatbelt because they believed it would save lives. Absolutely. Absolutely. Archimedes says Volvo didn't. I don't know about Volvo, but there are cases where someone will patent something and it's called a defensive patent. The idea is that you don't want anyone else to be able to make money off it. So you patent it and then you let anyone use it for free. Is that what Kenji intends to do? I mean, he has, if it was, he probably would have said, but, anyway. Mike Bergman continues, says, wait, Mike, what are you saying? That's not good enough. My God, are we free people or not? I mean, define free, Mike. Everybody's got a big boner for freedom. Define freedom. I would like to be able to murder your children and leave toxic chemicals all over your yard. No? I can't do that? That's illegal? Well, I thought we lived in a free society. Okay, so I'm being intentionally obtuse here to make a point. Living in a society with other people requires curtailments on the absolute freedom to do whatever you want. Do you know the joke that ends, we've established what you are, now we're just haggling on price? If not, you can look up the joke. I think of that joke often because a lot of times when people feel like they have a deep, an abiding difference in principle. What it comes down to is actually that they share principles and they're just debating where to draw the line. And I think that's going on some with people who say, are we free? Do we have freedom or not? It's like we've established that we live in a society with a government and that one of the roles of the government is to curtail our freedom to do whatever we want whenever we want so that we could live in a society and reap the benefits of that. So when the government creates a regulation, any regulation, says you're not allowed to do this, and someone says, I thought we lived in a free society. It's like, hold on. The presence of any regulation is a characteristic of a society. It is a feature of a society. You want freedom? Go live in a failed state. Go, I don't know, like, go live in Somalia. I don't know a lot about Somalia. I have an impression that Somalia is a failed state, and basically there's no laws, and it's all just warlords fight. I don't know. I apologize, Somalian people. I don't know a lot about your country, and I hope I haven't misrepresented it. I'm sure that I have. My point is, if you want absolute freedom, what you're asking for is anarchy. And most people, there are out there anarchists who are like, yes, we want anarchy. Thank you, please. But you're probably not that when you're objecting to remote ID being a thing. The existence of government laws is not tyranny. The definition of tyranny is when you cross a threshold and there is too much. So the question then is it too much? And that's a question that we could certainly debate. We're not going to debate it because it goes off the rails. And it's a personal decision of when you feel like there's too much regulation and it's crossed over into tyranny. Go back to the American Revolution. Sorry, Europeans, this is the European stream. Go back to the American Revolution. At some point, the founding fathers, the American revolutionaries, said, this is too much. This is tyranny. We've crossed a line. And there's all this talk about the moral basis, like taxation without representation. But at the end of the day, the moral justification for the Revolutionary War was second. The moral justification came after the people said, this is too much. F it. We're going to do this. And then they created a moral justification, and we all look back on it and we go, yes, this is why the American Revolutionary War was okay and right. At least that's what we do in America. I'm sure that in the UK they teach it a little differently. I don't know. Anyway, but I don't have a lot of sympathy. I mean, it's like, this is the line. This is where tyranny starts, is having to put a freaking license plate on your quadcopter. Anyway, Mike, I'm going to finish reading here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about that. I'm sure that right now the whole chat has gone off the rails. So I'm not even going to look. I hope the mods are doing their job. Mike, I'll continue reading your chat now. Since 2017, sorry, JB, we didn't get a win. Mike, I agree that this is not a win. Here's the analogy I like to use, Mike. If you say to me, hey, I'm going to cut all your fingers off. And I'm like, all 10 of them? And you're like, yep. And I'm like, well, I don't think I would like that. I don't care. I'm cutting all your fingers off. Get ready. Hold them down, boys. And then you go, you know what? I've had a change of heart. I'm only going to cut off one of your fingers. Like, I would prefer to have none of my fingers cut off. But given the choice between all of them and one of them, I'll take one. Could it be the pinky? Right hand pinky, because I'm left-handed. That's the one. So what happened here with remote ID is there was something that was proposed that was very, very bad. And then what we got was something that was less bad. And that's not a win. But I feel like when I made that video and I said, I feel like I'm glad we got what we got, people took that as, and I love this, and this is amazing and wonderful. And it's like, no. But thank God we got anything. Anyway. Thank God we didn't get all 10 of our fingers chopped off. Can we get a compromise on the 250-gram weight limit? I think that would be amazing. 600 grams would not settle everyone down, Mike, though. There's just like the 400-foot limit. People say, well, can't we just fly under 400 feet? Yeah, but glider pilots want up to 3,000 feet. Oh, oops. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, Mike. There's a slippery slope argument being made by Jeremy Sarge that like they're take one finger at a time. Yep, I mean I hear you. I'm not sure. I think that there's this progress, and it's a slow moving progression, and you fight it each step of the way, and you try and push. You know, when seatbelts were mandated in cars, there were people who said, oh, seatbelts in cars. I'm not, this is a ridiculous overreach of government regulation. Manufacturers should have the freedom to put seatbelts or not as they like. I'm not making this up. People thought it was a ridiculous government overreach to mandate seatbelts in cars, going to raise the cost of cars. Now, of course, everyone just understands and prefers, I think, mostly. I'm sure there's still people out there who don't wear seatbelts, but there's just no question that the presence of seatbelts in cars saves bazillions of lives and is a good thing. Anytime there's a new regulation, the people who didn't grow up with the regulation in place don't like it, usually, and resist it. And maybe that's right or maybe that's wrong, but I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how you say, no, this is the line. And what do you do? What do you do? What are you going to do? That's the other thing. What are you going to do? The law is here. Now, you can obey it. You can not obey it. If they catch you not obeying it, they're going to fine you. If you don't pay the fine, they're going to potentially, I don't know, put you in jail. I don't know. What are you going to do about it? Just, yeah. Alrighty. Well, good talk, guys. Good talk. It seems that the conversation has not gone completely off the rails in the chat. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to you guys for being reasonably responsible people. It's very, very difficult right now to talk about like government overreach and freedom without the conversation going in a really controversial direction. So thank you for not doing that. Mad Grumpy Man says, if you let them use the fraudulent argument for remote ID on drones, next it will be cars, going to the mall, hiking, using a national park, etc. There's nothing unique about this, though, Mad Grumpy Man. Like, I don't want to diminish the validity of your outrage. But they say, oh, we need to regulate drones. Why? Because we want to, and we're the government, and that's what we do. I mean, isn't that at the end of the day, like you make an argument for safety or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't feel weird or unusual for the government to try to regulate something. And you're like, well, maybe there's a good reason and maybe there isn't, but that's just what we do. I don't know. It means you're no longer free. I mean, were you ever free? Go back to the beginning of the conversation. Anyway, let's move on. Mike Bergman, thank you for your super chat. Maz9300, thanks for £5. I'm super new and I bought a TX16S Mobula 6. I've logged about 20 hours on the sim. Line of sight flying only until now. What goggles? Any dollars? I mean, the big question you got to ask Maz9300 is, do I want to go digital? Obviously not with the Mobula 6, but if you have any dollar budget, then you have to really seriously consider whether DJI is what's going to make you happiest going forward. If you want to settle on analog, I have a goggle roundup. I have a goggle buyer's guide on my channel. You can check out DJI goggles buyer's guide. Used Fat Sharks, not a bad choice. Yeah, so you can check that out. There's a couple choices, but you can just check that check that video out. $200 used Fat Sharks. Not a bad idea. Excuse me. Is it good to be less free, Robert Rempel? I think this is a really interesting philosophical question, but I think that yes, because there are some behaviors that are beneficial to curtail, right? And everybody draws that line in a different place, which is why we have so many arguments, because freedom and personal autonomy, I think personal autonomy is one of the most significant values that most people hold. And when you restrict someone's personal autonomy, it's very, very threatening in many ways. Not every culture feels this way. Some cultures, but American culture definitely does. So, like, I don't live in a neighborhood with a HOA because I don't want some HOA board telling me what color my freaking curtains need to be. A homeowners association. But other people prefer to live in a HOA because they like the fact that every house has consistent look. Everybody draws that line in a different place. If you're the kind of person who prefers to live in a HOA because you don't want your neighbor to have a messy yard, then you feel that curtailing freedom is a good thing in this case. And if you're the kind of person but everybody draws the line somewhere, because everybody would prefer that people don't come over to their house and murder their family. Well, what is this, a tyranny? Okay, I'm being extreme there on purpose. Everybody draws a line somewhere where they would prefer that other people's freedom be curtailed, whether it's by the government or by you personally. I shouldn't say nobody. Nobody wants roving bands of raiders coming to their house. Yeah. Let's see. Grega Marzel, thank you for €5. I want a really powerful 5-inch setup as my tricks are currently limited to lack of power using GoPro. Thinking about the T-Motor F7 55 amp stack F60 1950 kV. The F60 is going to be a pretty powerful motor. 1950 kV on 6S is going to, that's going to give you a lot of power. There's no doubt. You could also go to a higher pitch prop. If you're using like S3 props, go to a higher pitch prop. It's going to help a lot. Johannes Farber, thanks for €1. Mr. Huggy, thanks for £2. FP Outdoors, thanks for 50 Norwegian kroner. What are your thoughts on the ProTech versus the Taycan? I haven't seen much info on the Taycan's performance on 6S. Is it capable on 6S? I can't remember if I flew the Taycan on 6S. I liked the Taycan in my Cinewoop Roundup. The ProTech I haven't flown yet. I do like that the ProTech can be had in a 3.5-inch version. You're not going to get under 250 grams on most Cinewoops anyway, especially not if you're carrying a GoPro. If your interest is in carrying a GoPro, I think the ProTech 35 is very compelling, although I have to say I haven't flown it yet. Johannes Farber, thanks for €5. Do you have a video on how to trim my quad? Yes, I do, Johannes Farber. I assume you're talking about in auto level mode. Auto level mode. Hang on, let me get you the video. This is how to calibrate and trim Betaflight. Johannes Farber. I just had to do that. Mikhail, thank you for Mikhail Tehera. Thank you for €2. Is it a good call to wait for the DJI FPV? It kind of doesn't matter because they're out of stock everywhere anyway. So you may as well wait. I don't think you can find them in stock. SR Tolman, thanks for $5. I have a Flywoo LRX 4-inch. I only get the first 3 startup tones when I plug in, unless the flight controller is plugged into USB. SR Tolman, the 5-volt regulator that is powering the flight controller is dead or not working. Check the plug. I mean, you get the tones, you get the tones when you plug in USB. So I'm guessing that the plug is working. I think the 5-volt regulator on the flight controller has died. Replacing the flight controller would usually be the answer to that. Redbeard the Pilot, thank you for $5. As a patent holder, it gives you the right to sue for infringement, but it doesn't necessitate a priori compliance. You're right on the implementation. Thank you, Redbeard. Yeah, if Kenji starts suing people and demanding licensing fees, then I'll feel less good about him holding the patent. Why would you have the patent if you didn't want to charge money for it, unless it's a preemptive patent or a defensive patent? Jenny Pavlova, thanks for 549 euros. And Mikhail Tejera, thank you for 2 euros. I mean the complete drone package FPV. Well, I think I answered that one, Mikhail. You may be watching the stream older or something. I don't know. All right. I can too, Star Jumper. Make sweeping statements like no one wants to be murdered in their home. Or anywhere else. Antiox, thank you for being a patron in the Discord. I just lost my brand new Nazgul 5 and I'm thinking of building a new 5-inch instead of buying a bind and fly. What's your opinion on this build spec? Let's bring this up on screen. Main screen turn on. Glide or iFlight XL5. Either one of those is good. The Glide, I think, is probably a little better. But the XL5, actually, that's not the... Which one is the XL5? The XL5 is good, too. The Glide has a lot of refinement in it. But the XL5 is okay. Mamba F7 Super Stack. Yeah, very good. T-Motor Velox motors, decent. Caddx Ratel, good. Caddx Ratel is good. I mean, I like the Phoenix a little better, but the Ratel is very good. Mach 3 VTX. I would not steer you away from the Mach 3, but I feel like there's better choices today. The Rush Tank is very, very good. The Mach 3 is a little dated. It does have high output power. I think the Rush Tank is a little more consistent in its output power across the bands. And the Crossfire Nano RX. The only one I would probably steer you toward the Glide 5-inch. The iFlight is a little more flexible in how you could build it. And I would probably steer you towards the Rush Tank VTX instead of the Mach 3. If you're going with the Glide or the XL5, consider the Rush Tank Mini. Let me pull that up. The Rush Tank Mini, the reason I pointed out is it is a 20 millimeter VTX that outputs 800 milliwatts. That's not a newer version. It outputs 800 milliwatts and can be mounted on the 20 millimeter mounting holes on the back of that frame. So it's really convenient to mount. So... Copter flights. DJI has explicitly said that they plan to keep releasing firmware updates for the goggles. I think the reason that you haven't seen a firmware update in a while is that they've been working on the V2. So that's what I would say. My dog is howling. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Okay. Jekele, thank you for 349 euros. More versus less blades on a Cinewoop. Oh, I don't know about that. Have you guys seen these Cinewoop props? So they're putting like 5-7 blades on them or something. Is that a plus? Hang on 1 second. Yeah, I've heard they're quieter, but I haven't tested them. Less blades keeps proving to be quieter. It's nuts. Wait, Ciati says fewer blades are quieter. No, more blades. He got it backwards. More blades is quieter. That's definitely one of the advantages. The disadvantages of a Cinewoop is how freaking loud they are. More blades is quieter. That's what everybody says. I haven't tried it yet. Mike Bergman, thanks for $5. I'm not going to read that because we're moving on from that topic, but thank you for your donation. William Hayes, thank you for $5. Do you think it'd be worth it to save a little money and get the TX12 instead of the TX16S? William Hayes, the iFlight, the Radiomaster TX12 or Jumper. Hang on. The TX12. You're looking at this one. The thing about this one, I mean, I presumably it's built to the same standard as the bigger Radiomaster. The thing about this one, though, is the smaller size and the smaller gimbals, for some people's hands, is not going to be very comfortable. I tried the Jumper T12 Pro and thought that it was uncomfortably small for my hands. However, when I reviewed it, other people said, oh, I love it. It's perfect. It fits in my bag. It's so easy and small. I wouldn't want anything bigger. So this is just purely an ergonomic decision. But I would personally take the Radiomaster because I like a bigger radio. That's what I would say. All right, we're caught up on Super Chats finally. Any plans to review the Jumper T Lite or any thoughts about it? Blunty and I talked about the T Lite in the new product roundup. We did a new product roundup. I was about to say news. The new product roundup that we recorded, it hasn't come out yet because, like I said earlier in the stream, my editor's computer died. It should be coming soon. Let's look at the Jumper T Lite, though. The Jumper T Lite is a new game controller style radio from Jumper. I like it's going to remind you a lot of the TBS Tango V2, obviously. Tiny screen. That's too bad. I do like it has trim switches, which some people are going to really appreciate. Fixed wing pilots. It has a good selection of switches. Does it have sliders? The screen is small. Some people are going to think the screen's too small. Doesn't seem to have sliders. Some people will object to that. And it's $70 with a 4-in-1 module in it. I don't know if I'm going to rush to review it. Just because the thing is, I tend not to like the gamepad style controllers. So when I think about, oh, what am I going to review with my limited time, I don't know. Maybe it looks like it's going to make some people very happy, but I'm not sure I'm going to rush to review it. Sack14 Save says, is there a way to clean my transmitter? I've noticed it feels grainy when I throttle up. You can open it up, and there is a metal slider moving on what's usually like a plastic piece on the gimbal. You may be able to clean that, or some people even get like some Teflon tape, and they put some Teflon tape on the metal piece to make it slide smoother. Sorry about that. What's your take on 6S 3-inch quads, Seth Inman? Seth, I know that some professional Cinewoop pilots prefer to fly 6S. So I feel like that's some evidence that the advantages of 6S do apply down at the 2.5 and 3-inch size. As the cells get smaller, though, you start to see some performance limitations. So, for example, an 850 6S is made of 6 850 milliamp hour cells. I feel like down in the 850 to 500 milliamp hour 6S range is where you start to see those performance limitations. And I probably would not want to fly 6S with any battery smaller than, let's say, about a 500 milliamp hour. That's just a gut check there. If like Tommy Thibahia or Paul Nurkala pops up in the chat and they're like, nah, it's fine down to 400, then that's fine. But if you think about Cinewoop cells are down in the 300 to 450 milliamp hour range, and they have just terrible voltage sag, most of them. Manufacturing those small cells, it's just maybe just nobody cares. I don't know. I feel like it is some physical or electrical characteristic of the small cells that makes it difficult to get very good performance out of them. But I feel like in the 3-inch range, the 2.5 to 3-inch range, for a 6S, you would probably be using like a 500 to 850 milliamp hour pack, and you can get decent performance out of those. I don't think the advantage is as clear as like when you're comparing like a 1500 milliamp hour 4S to a 1000 milliamp hour 6S. I don't think the advantage is as clear cut. 661 FPV says 450 6Ss are okay, but 300 is way too small. What's your experience with the Caddx Vista on your 5-inchers, says Andy Thymer. I'm constantly repairing the antenna connection and have had lots of trouble maintaining video quality. Andy, I don't know. I have had good experience with it. If you're constantly breaking the antenna, get an SMA pigtail. Get a TBS style SMA pigtail. Hang on. So what you want to get is this style of pigtail. And what's key about it is that it... No, shut up. What's key about it is that it has these two screw holes so that you're screwing to this brass bracket as opposed to just using a lock nut. Mount that on a 3D printed mount and you'll never break another pigtail. Well, I never say never, but it's gonna keep it very, very secure. But I've had good results. I don't know what you're doing different than me. I've had good results, though. Basilis Zikos wants to know, should I buy the ZMR X210? Basilis, I haven't heard about ZMR in years. I don't know what the ZMR X210 is, but probably not. What is the ZMR X210? Is that, are they still making ZMRs? Oh, this is just a frame. This frame is from like 2016. Yeah, no, don't buy that. There's way better frames. That's super out of date. Don't buy that. MKFPV says, is there a limit by EU regulations to how much output power my VTX can output? People in the EU, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that EU regulation requires you to stay under 25 milliwatts, period. I think that's true. You got to stay under 25 milliwatts. Lots of people don't do that. Lots of people just use higher output power and no one cares. That's breaking the law, and you'll get in big trouble if you're caught doing that. So, you know. Tyranny. Joe P., thanks for a $5 super chat. I bought a Crocodile Baby 4 HD. I flew well, but hours later my warning beepers are not audible anymore. Wow. I mean, I guess I would check. Does the Croc Baby 4 have the lost model buzzer? I think it does. I guess I would check the frickin' wiring. Did it come unplugged or desoldered or something? Like, I don't think it broke. Pedro Protest just keeps wanting to join the Discord. How do you join my Discord server, chat? By the way, I don't know if you guys have noticed. How's it? I want to check with you. How's this going? But I changed a setting for this stream. What I changed was this stream has been running in ultra low latency mode. That may be why it was a little laggy a little while back, but I am seeing your chats much faster. It used to be like a 45-second delay. I'm seeing your chats much faster, so I hope you're enjoying that. I don't know if you noticed. Jenny Pavlova, thank you for a 549 euros. What do you think about the GEP-RC 4K Baby Croc with the Caddx Tarsier V2? Possibly a good setup for high-quality recordings under 250 gram. Jenny, the Caddx Tarsier and other cameras like it do an okay job. I'm not sure, Ciati, what do you think? I'm not sure I would call the Caddx Tarsier high quality. Oh, 661 FPV, no closed captioning. That means no live captions. YouTube has a function where if you're using a scripted, I guess you could create them in real time. You can create captions and you can upload captions in real time during the stream. The no closed captioning, I believe it will still be captioned. The DVR replay will still be captioned. Yeah, the Tarsier gives okay results. I don't think that I've ever seen a Caddx Tarsier or a Runcam Split that gave what I would call high quality results, like GoPro quality. But nothing is GoPro quality, so yeah. Ciati says the Tarsier is good but not great. The Runcam Hybrid is better. He says the edit called 4-inch motion on his channel shows how decent the Runcam is. Well, let's look at it. Let's go over to Ciati's channel and we'll take a look at 4-inch motion. Oh, I should put Ciati in here because I'm going to end up with who knows what. Okay. There we go. So this is the Runcam Hybrid. Let's see if this gives what we would call good results. Bear in mind, you guys are going to be seeing this through Livestream YouTube compression, so you should definitely go check it out on Ciati's channel to see the full quality. This is the Runcam Hybrid? Is this got any processing on it, Ciati, or is this straight out of the camera? That's pretty good. I mean, it's a drift video, so I'm immediately bored and disgusted, but I'm just teasing. That's not bad. If you told me this was a GoPro, I might not argue with you. I'm just watching it. Process in Premiere, but nothing crazy, just normal adjustments. Yeah. Interesting. This is the Runcam Hybrid V2. Right? Oof. This is, I would call this usable. I mean, if you need to get HD footage out of a sub 250, I would call this usable. The thing is, like, I've said that the Insta360, the naked Insta360, it's not GoPro quality, but it's right for certain uses and it's okay. I would say the same thing about this. This is, I would call this usable. Yeah. Okay, well, you know, now I got to look at the Runcam Hybrid V2. Thank you for Ciati for putting this on my radar. I've never seen results from one of these split style cameras. Like some of them were like, yeah, okay. Like I would put it on YouTube, but nothing I would consider to be like good. They were all like, okay, I guess is how I would say it. But this is, I would call this good. All right. So Jenny Pavlova, the Caddx Tarsier V2 is okay. I mean, that's what it's going to come with. But I would be thinking about whether I could get a naked GoPro on there instead and still keep it sub 250, because a naked GoPro is going to give better results for sure. Thanks, Ciati, for that contribution. Durzo FPV, thanks for $5. Loving my new Sovol printer. I printed out a thing from Make Anything that holds 3 Sharpie markers to cover color in clear PLA. Isn't it fun, the first prints you get? Bobby Baggs points out, not the best field of view. Yeah. What's the field of view on the Tarsier? Is the Tarsier wider? I mean, for this kind of drifting, the tighter field of view makes sense because it lets you don't have to be as close to the cars. For freestyle, you usually want like an ultra wide field of view. But for this kind of chasing, you actually want a little narrower field of view so you don't have to be as close to the subject. Audio Geek says the RunCam stabilization is usable. Interesting. Whole lot of people, including Ariel Clone in the Discord and a whole bunch of people in the chat, are talking about ProTune being removed from the GoPro app. Yeah. So GoPro, you done effed up. What is your problem, GoPro? GoPro took their, that's what I'm hearing. I haven't verified this, but a whole bunch of people are saying it's true. GoPro took the ProTune settings out of the GoPro app. So you can no longer configure the ProTune settings except by touching the back of the camera. What the F, GoPro? So that means if you have a naked GoPro with no screen, screw you. It means that if you have a Hero Session, screw you. You can't, that doesn't have, can you just not use ProTune on the Session anymore? F you. And it also means you can't get a live real-time display on your phone to check the setting and get the ISO right or the color or whatever. Why would they do this? I don't know. So if you search online, you can download the old APK for Android. APK is the installer file. You can download the old APK and you can sideload it. You can basically put it on your phone through the USB port or whatever. People are speculating that this means that something new is coming. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so dumb that they did this. Why would they do this? Why would they do this? 661 FPV says it's because they hate naked GoPros. I mean, no. Like the ability to preview that stuff in the phone. Like, let's say I've got the camera, even forget FPV. Forget FPV. I've got a camera. It's mounted up here. Oh, I need to change the exposure. How will I do that? I can't. What, am I going to go climb up here and touch the screen and take it down? No. How am I going to freaking set my camera up? Sign in. Screw you. I don't want to sign in. Give me my cameras. Control your GoPro. All right, we're going to find out. Like literally, when I was setting this camera up, I brought it up on screen and I changed the exposure and I checked it and I got it exactly how I wanted it. And they've taken that away? Okay, connection successful. No, nothing. All right. Gear icon. Where's ProTune? Can you not even turn ProTune on or off? Are you kidding me? Resolution, frames per second, field of view, stabilization, and then we go straight to setup. They got rid of all of it. Are you kidding me? It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It's the dumbest. Top right, it says ProTune. Hang on. Hang on. Did they just move it? Did they just move it? Let's make sure we're not being hasty. Top right says ProTune. I got to reconnect now. It's going to take 20 minutes to reconnect. Thorondor says, I was told by, while we wait for my GoPro to reconnect, Thorondor says, I was told by somebody that PID tuning isn't even necessary these days. Is that true or trash? Default PIDs are better than they ever were. You can fly defaults on... Shut up. We had trouble connecting with your GoPro. Shut up. Do the thing. The default PIDs are better than they ever have been. Most beginners certainly can fly on defaults for no problem. PID tuning can make quads fly better. As you become a more intermediate or advanced pilot, you may want to make changes to PID tunes to get the quad to handle better in more aggressive flight characteristics, or to tune the flight feel to what you want. Great, now I can't connect. I got to kill the app or something. But for a beginner, there's no question that you should focus more on becoming a better pilot and not worry about PID tuning. It used to be that default PIDs flew like crap. And if you didn't PID tune, your quad was going to fly like crap. Now, default PIDs are pretty good to great. And you can make them better. But a lot of people, the pilot is going to be the limiting factor. Thank you, Remy Tim, for $5. On Android, you can sideload the old app. On iOS, you can just disable the ability to update. Or you can, I'm going to show the BLE app in a minute. Where's ProTune in the upper right? I don't see it. I don't see ProTune anywhere. I think it's gone. Like, even the ability to turn ProTune on or off is gone. Why would they get rid of that? Like, we're not, okay, so they don't care about quad pilots. But that's just a very... Oh, 507RC has an update for us from GoPro. What do they say? Please, GoPro, give me good news. Thank you, 507, for pointing this out. If you recently opened the GoPro app hoping to change ProTune settings or camera beat volume on a paired camera, these features are no longer available. You can still control them on the camera. But if accessing the back LCD display is not possible, here are some other methods we recommend. Use the smart remote. Shut up. Shut up. That you can still change capture presets. Shut up. Shut up. You capture presets. What am I going to make one preset for each ISO I might want to use? We've developed a QR code method to control camera settings where all you have to do is put, but that's stupid because I can't just say, oh, I need to open up my ISO one stop with a QR code. Shut up. They've taken it away. That's so frustrating. That is the worst thing GoPro has ever done, in my opinion. In my experience. Yeah, Session 5, useless. Can't use ProTune with a Session 5. F you. That is the worst thing GoPro has ever done. In my experience. Why would they do that? Do you understand? The reason that ProTune exists, GoPro, is because professional filmmakers and cinematographers make changes. So I say, I want 160-second shutter speed. Oh, that's not quite right. I need 120. I can't make that change with a QR code. I can't have a preset. I need to be able to adjust the settings, the ISO, the white balance. I need to be able to adjust them in real time, not just control them. Like, there are so many professionals... Like, I understand that, like, real cinematographers don't use GoPros. I get that. But you look at shows like Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee by Jerry Seinfeld. They put GoPros all over the car. They shoot that whole show on GoPros. Okay, it's not like a real television program. I get it. There's all kinds of professionals using GoPros. How are they going to do their job? Oh... Mecrotech. No, who was it? Oh, where'd that comment go? I'm gonna nix that guy. F that guy. Oh well, it's gone. He deleted it. He deleted it so fast I can't ban you from the channel for being a dick. Why? You're crippling your customers, GoPro. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? I mean, even just FPV pilots. Who cares? Who cares? Why would you do that to your own customers? Jesus, Mecrotech, it wasn't you, man. It wasn't you, dude. You had a flagged comment right, right. So, okay, so where's this APK? Let's do it right now. I'm downloading this. I wasn't going to do this on the live stream, but now I am. Where's this APK? Okay, hang on. Ciati, do you know where the APK is? While you do that, I want to show you guys this. This is an app called BLE Remote. No, I need GoPro. This is an app called GoPro BLE Remote. It's on Google and Apple. Okay, so it's on both. This app costs $10, and it is worth having for many people. So GoPro cameras have Wi-Fi, which they use to stream the image, the preview image, but they use Bluetooth for the other stuff, the configuration. The GoPro BLE Remote app connects to the GoPro directly via Bluetooth and lets you make changes to the configuration. So right now, oh, that's interesting. So right now, I could go to this camera up here, and I could make changes in GoPro BLE Remote, and I could use this image as a preview, and I could do my job. Now, the GoPro BLE Remote app is really nice because sometimes, like, you can't get your phone to connect over Wi-Fi, and it'll connect over Bluetooth really easily. But in addition, right now, this is the only way to change these ProTune settings remotely. It's $10. It's not going to show a preview, unfortunately. But where is, I want the old GoPro APK. Where's the old GoPro APK? So I haven't, we'll see if we can find it. You can download the old APK from a site that archives them, and you could just install that and prevent it from auto updating, and then you'll just be stuck. You won't get updates, but who cares? Thank you, Bob Ramey, for the kind words. Well, hey, GoPro BLE app. If you get a live, I understand that the live preview is not Bluetooth, but Jero Meyer, maker of the BLE remote, can you figure out how to get a live preview? Because I will just never use the GoPro app again, and I will promote the hell out of your app. If it had live preview, that would just be, do it. APK mirror. Jesus, GoPro, what a dumb ass move. What is wrong with you? Why do you hate your own customers? Like, I defended when GoPro got rid of the session, because I was like, I understand. No one uses that but us, and we're a tiny market. I get it. But this is bad for everyone. This is just bad for everyone. What's the name of this app? It's not the Quick, is it? I cannot believe it. This is the dumbest thing GoPro has ever done, in my humble opinion. What's the name for the app? Is it the Quick Editor, or is it... This must be it. January 7th, 2021. So this must be the update that gets rid of it. So I guess we want December 20th. Well, we probably want one of these. Anyway, okay. Well, we'll stop talking about this now because I feel like I'm just going to descend into cussing. But there you go. Archimedes. GoPro 616. Yeah. Here's another link. 6161. APKsfree.com. I mean, the problem is that this is not going to support future cameras. So you will have to get rid of this. You know, when GoPro 10 comes out, it won't support it. Jeez. Dumb ass. All right. I'm just going to keep cussing and we need to move on. Yeah, Bannister Post says we have to start supporting Insta360 more. Yeah, Insta360. I mean, okay, the image quality is not as good as GoPro. Sorry, Insta. I know that that's not what you want to hear. It's good. It's good. It's not as good as GoPro. But, whew, at least they seem to know we exist and care about us. I'm going to put this up as a clip, and hopefully GoPro will see it. Okay, let's move on. It's 2:45. We've got 15 minutes left in the stream. At the end of the stream, at 3 o'clock, Aaron Ciotti, who is in the chat right now, he starts streaming at 3. So if you're having a good time this Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, depending on where, or Monday morning, depending on where in the world you are, keep the good vibes going by watching Aaron Ciotti's stream. He's going to start posting a link to it. Don't go yet. He won't start till I go off the air. He better not. But keep it going. Ciotti, you can start posting that stream. Cinewoop Sunday. Nice. Prepare for cursing. Yeah. If you thought my cursing during the GoPro thing was over the top, then do not turn into his stream because he swears a lot. He swears a lot. Wow. I hope I'm misreading your comment. Who I can't say, I don't know how to say your name because it's not in English letters. I hope I'm going to delete this comment and not ban you from the channel because I'm going to assume that I'm misreading it. But suffice it to say, even sarcastic threats of violence are not appropriate in the chat. So, yeah, that's not cool. Oh, I will be happy to ban you if you prefer. I will. There, done. You're gone. Bye-bye. Yeah. No problem. I'm more than happy to do that. I mean, I like to give you the benefit of the doubt that I misread your comment, but that's it. He's gone. Ha ha ha. Will Yasher. We're not going there, bro. We're not going there at all. I have thoughts. Everyone has thoughts. That is not what this channel is going to be all about. 6 months later. Hey, I see that I'm blocked on your channel, but I don't remember why. Do you remember what happened? No, I don't. Yeah. Sync happens, 86. I mean, you know, a little emotion is okay. Right? Private Island FPV, thanks for $5 Canadian. 3 minutes in, I received a phone call and I'm back now. Recap, please. Remy Tim, thank you for $5. You can sideload the app. Yeah, we got that. Oh, how to fix what problem? Slepo FPV. How to sideload the APK? Yeah. Seriously, BLE Remote. Jero Meyer, are you out there? If anyone knows how to get in touch with Jero Meyer and he's watching, tell him to get Wi-Fi image preview in the BLE Remote app, and I will never look back. I still think it's great, and I still mention it and promote it. But that's the one thing that's missing that stops me from just giving up the GoPro app entirely. Excuse me. Anyway. I apologize, patrons. I will not be playing Among Us this afternoon. Sorry. But you guys obviously are welcome to play. But I'm going to have to duck out. Scott Southard. Scott Southard? I'm going to say Southard. Thank you for $10 in the super chat. not to backtrack, but going back to the Diatone F5, what about the Diatone F5 frame? No, I didn't call, no, sir, not the Diatone. I think you're thinking of the T-Motor FT5 frame. I don't think I called the Diatone F5 frame gimmicky. I think I'm sorry I can't answer your question because I'm not sure which part of this you got wrong. Thank you for a $10 donation. The Diatone F5 frame seems quite nice. Some people have said the arms seem like they break a little by that personally. I don't know why you're seeing lags. Oh, interesting. I do see a tiny amount of dropped frames, 0.2%, but still pretty small. 0.3%, it's going up. Wait, if I reset, is it like 70%? Oh, it's hanging in there. Hopefully it'll resolve itself. That lag in the stream, I bet that's because of the, oh no. I bet that's because of the ultra low latency. So you guys are getting like 10-second latency instead of like 40-second latency, but occasionally there's a little bit of lag. That's my guess. I don't know. Do you think it was worth it? Should we stick with it, or should we go back to low latency? Yeah, low latency is like 30 seconds in my experience. Ultra low seems to be like 10 seconds. Yeah, like here, watch. Now tell me when you see that. Let's see how much latency that is. Thank you, Guillermo Nespolo, for a big hug. And is it back? It's back. Here it comes. It's coming. It's coming. Okay. I'm sorry, GoPro. I'm sorry, GoPro. Your thing is awesome. I have no idea why that just happened. It just dropped out. Regardless. Anyway, let's finish the stream up. I feel like that's a great note to go out on. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, all my patrons in the Discord, and thank you to all the folks who left super chats. Ira Toft, thank you for $5. Get a new jug of Milo's tea. Gareth McTaggart, thank you for 10 pounds. Thanks for all your videos. They're the most helpful by far for beginners like myself. Making this hobby possible for me is amazing. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm still sending at my normal rate. But maybe ultra low latency wasn't worth it. Yeah, I should be using Tracer. Ciati's not ready. We got to stay. Ciati's not ready. Ciati, finish pooping. James Who says, nice chill stream. Peace out. I don't know if it was chill, James. We talked about freedom and tyranny and GoPro. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh. Ciati has to finish shooting that drifting video he's working on. Yeah, weird. All right. We are going to wrap up. Ciati, post that link again. That's going to do it for this stream. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is when my next stream is. And hopefully the network will be cool. Can I get some Google Fiber up in this house? Can I just get some freaking 100 meg up and down? Would be so good. Would be so good. 100 meg. Comcast. I got freaking 25 meg up. Give me a break. All right. Happy flying, you guys. That's going to do it for this one.